Here's everything you're going to need for your stuffed pizza dough. We're going to use bread flour. You're going to need some white sugar. You're going to need a active dry yeast. You can use the jar type like I have here. This is Red Star. You can also use the packets, probably 2 of them for this recipe. You're going to need some salt, and you're also going to need some vegetable oil. So that's pretty much everything. You're also going to need some warm water, and the first thing we're going to do is take that warm water and we're going to mix our yeast and our sugar to get that started before we mix in everything else. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get our yeast and sugar started. So what we're going to need is 4 teaspoons of sugar, and I'm just going to do a tablespoon and a little more. There's 3 teaspoons and a tablespoon, so we'll just kind of wing it here. The next for this recipe, and this is a 14-inch pizza by the way, so it's a pretty big pizza. We're going to need 2 tablespoons of the dry active yeast. And this is warm water by the way, so we're going to go ahead and add that. We're going to go ahead and stir this up some. And what we want this stuff to do is we want the yeast to start eating, and after 5-10 minutes you'll start to see bubbles and things like that forming. And that way you know that the yeast is eating the sugar and making carbon dioxide, and it's doing its thing. So, alright, well, as you can see, it's been about 5-10 minutes and my yeast and water and sugar mixture is going crazy. The yeast is eating up stuff, making CO2, so that's good and ready. So we're going to go ahead and mix our stuff together. First we're going to do 4 cups of this bread flour right into my mixing bowl. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and add 4 teaspoons of salt. I'm going to do a tablespoon and a little more. It'll be close to 4 teaspoons. So, okay. I'm going to go ahead and mix that up to get that salt mixed into the flour well before we add our liquid ingredients. Okay, next, before this overflows, I'm going to go ahead and dump our water, sugar, and yeast into there. Okay, next we need 5 tablespoons of vegetable oil. That's pretty close to a 1/4 cup, so I'm going to go ahead and wing that. I'm going to go ahead and just add that in. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and get this in our handy KitchenAid mixer. We're going to lock that in, and we're going to go ahead and mix her up. Alright, our dough is pretty much done. We've got pretty much the right consistency, so we're going to go ahead and put this on our floured counter. We're going to knead it just a little bit, and then we're going to add this back in to our mixing bowl. We're going to cover it with saran wrap and a towel, and that's got to rest for about an hour and a half or a little more, or hour and a half, give or take. And what we want our dough to do is to just about double in size. So there's our dough. We're going to go ahead and put a little flour in the bottom of our pan or our mixing bowl so it doesn't stick. Go ahead and plop that in there. We're going to put saran wrap on and a towel, and we're going to put this in a warm place and let it set for, like I said, about an hour and a half. Then we'll check back. Here's what we're going to put in our pizza today. We got some chopped onion, chopped green pepper. We got some mushrooms. We're going to put pepperoni, and then we got 2 cups of mozzarella cheese. And I don't have to tell you, you can put in whatever you want in your pizza, but this is what we're going to go with today. Go ahead and heat up our mushrooms, our onions, and our green peppers. We're going to do that right in this pan. And we just want these to get translucent and to start the cooking. Now, this is going to go inside of our stuffed pizza, so it's going to cook in there as well, but we just want to make sure they're well on their way. Here's our deep dish pan that you pretty much have to have in order to make these stuffed pizzas. I bought this one on Amazon for about 14 bucks. We're going to go ahead and oil this up. So just a little bit of olive oil. We're going to just take a paper towel and smear this around. You do this and your pizza will basically just fall right out of the pan. It won't stick at all. So like I said, I got this on Amazon. I'll put a link in the description if anyone's interested in taking a look at them. They're inexpensive and they work just fantastic. So here's our dough. As you can see, it's grown quite nicely. It's more than doubled in size. It took about an hour and a half. So give it a little shake. We're going to go ahead and peel this out. We got some flour on the counter here. I'm going to spread that around. First we want to kind of mash it down, get the big air bubbles out of it. So since this is a stuffed pizza, you basically have two crusts. You have your one on the bottom and your one on top. The one on the bottom's got to be a little bit bigger, so we're going to cut this in half and we're going to lopside it just a little bit because the crust on the bottom's got to be a little bit bigger to go up the sides in your pan. So we're going to go ahead and cut that. I'm going to separate that out. So first we're going to flatten out our bottom piece. We're going to flour our roller and we're just going to go ahead and roll this out. We've got to get this big enough so it can go into our 14-inch pan. And so let's go ahead and get started. Start working our dough. If it's not exactly round, don't worry about it. I guess my concern is as long as it's big enough, so I kind of gauge it with my pan. I'm going to go ahead and turn this over one more time and make sure you got enough flour on your counter. So it looks like it's about big enough, so we're going to go ahead and flop this in the bottom of the pan. Just like that. So we're just kind of putting this in the pan and we're letting it go up the sides like this. Don't worry about it being perfect, it doesn't matter. The dough will stretch some. So then once you got it kind of in the pan and up the sides, we're going to take the back side of our knife and just kind of cut it off. Well, there's a little bit of extra dough which you can save for breadsticks or whatever, but as you can see, for the most part the dough is kind of up on the sides and you can definitely stretch it out, form it into place. So like I said, don't worry about it being perfect. Nothing's perfect. So there we go. We're ready for our ingredients. We're going to go ahead and put our cheese in first. We're going to put in a whole package or 2 cups. I'm just using store-bought mozzarella. So we're going to go ahead and put all that in. We're going to kind of spread that around so it's nice and even. Then on top we're going to go ahead and put our sauteed vegetables, which were onions, green peppers, and mushrooms. So we're going to put that in, and then we'll put our pepperoni on top. Shut up. Alright, we're going to go ahead and add our sauteed vegetables right in here. Just try and make them as even as you can. And you might not have to saute these first. I mean, they will get cooked. There's just a chance they won't get as done if you let them cook in the pizza. So we're going to throw our pepperoni in here right now. And like I said before, you can use whatever you want. I've done this with pork sausage. I've done it with pork sausage and pepperoni, hamburger, whatever. Just like any other pizza. Use your imagination. So we got our pepperoni in there. We put quite a bit in there, so that's that. Next we're going to roll out our top layer of dough. So just like the bottom, we're going to take it and just like that, we're going to use our pan. Yep, it's rolled out plenty big, so we're going to go ahead and peel this up and kind of flop it on top. We're going to kind of center it. We're going to let it down inside a little bit. And once again, use the back of your butter knife, and we're going to go ahead and take the excess off. And take your excess dough, and you can use that for later. Next, what I like to do is kind of pinch the bottom and the top together a little bit. Go around with your fingers like this. This gives you an opportunity to kind of even things out and give it a nice little lip that goes around the edge of your pizza. So I'm going to grab a fork, and I'm going to go ahead and we're going to poke some holes in this. That way as it's cooking, if there's any air pockets, they can escape through your holes. I lied, I'm going to use a knife. This is a little bit easier. So you're going to go ahead and put some slits in the top crust. Like I said before, this will relieve any air pockets that want to get out. You still might get some air pockets or some bubbles that happen, but it's not a big deal. You can fix those as they happen. So there you go, it's almost ready. Now the last ingredient, we're going to go ahead and put our sauce on top. This is homemade sauce as well, but I'm not going to show you how to make this. I'll do another video on that. I made this ahead of time, and it's basically got crushed tomatoes, olive oil, Parmesan cheese, oregano, basil, some other good stuff, but I'll post a recipe and we'll do a video on this sometime. So we're going to go ahead and pour this right on top. A little trick too is you can kind of do this number. I did take out 2 of these. That was 16 ounces. Here's another. I'm going to add just a little bit more. We got some breadsticks cooking, so we're going to use the leftovers for those. So and again, you can just kind of move your sauce around, do its thing. So there you go. It's ready for the oven. The oven's preheated at 425 degrees. We're going to put this in for 18 minutes. We're going to keep an eye on it. You'll be able to kind of tell by the crust. Typically it takes between 18 and 20 minutes. So we're going to go ahead and put this in the oven and get cooking. So here we go, it's done. It took about 20 minutes. So first thing what we need to do is we're going to go ahead and take this out of the pan. We're going to flop it on top of this here pan to cut it. So kind of a little bit of a technique here so you don't burn yourself. Back up, boys. So there you go. There's our pizza pie. So as you can see, the dough is nice and done. So what I like to do, because I want to keep it nice and pretty, is I'm going to go ahead and put some cuts in it before I go at it with the pizza cutter. Okay, and just for a little bit taste, and man, it looks pretty. We're going to put some Parmesan cheese on top. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and take our pizza cutter and we're going to cut out some pieces and take a nice look at it. So there's a nice piece. Looks like it's good and done. Looks delicious. So we're going to go ahead and cut the rest of this up and we're going to enjoy it. Thanks for watching, and if you could, please subscribe to my videos.